Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today I'm going to pick a word from my bag of words and see what I'm inspired to share. Let's see. Uh, Boundaries. Interesting. Boundaries. Okay, so boundaries. Boundaries is something that is so important to set. And the thing is that a lot of times we struggle with setting boundaries because we're so worried about upsetting somebody else, or we're caught up with people pleasing, and or we've been taught, that it's the right thing to do so that things look good, appear good, they think good of us, and so forth, right? So we feel really uncomfortable sometimes saying no or setting boundaries because of these old learned beliefs. And we hold on to these beliefs, even though sometimes, right, we can feel and see that they're not serving us, but we get so stuck, right, in shifting into a different direction that we just allow ourselves to not set the boundaries, right? Sometimes we say, okay, we've had enough, something has to change. And when we do that, then we're ready, right, to set some boundaries, but it's going to feel uncomfortable because whenever we're doing something new, it always feels uncomfortable. And we're also challenging, right, old beliefs. So we're going to feel uncomfortable. But setting boundaries is so important. And a lot of times it's a bigger deal in our head than it is in the external, right? We believe that there's going to be a problem, so we get scared and we work ourselves up. But the reality is that most of the times when we just are honest and just say it, things aren't really as bad as we thought. And even if they are, and we already have decided that we're gonna, be okay with whatever the outcome is because we really want to set these boundaries for ourselves, then we are able to tolerate, if things go a little left, like we're not going to get so overwhelmed by it. We're going to be willing to work through that and not let that, overpower us. But boundaries, are for the most part pretty straightforward, and but they really stem from what is it that we really want for ourselves, right? In other words, once we make that decision that we don't want to continue saying yes, or we don't want to continue allowing someone to treat us a certain way and so forth, then we can set the boundaries. And it can be as simple as just saying to them, I'm uncomfortable with, I don't like it when, right? And these sorts of phrases, it's not so much focused on attacking the other person. So, for example, an attack would look like, I hate when you, it really upsets me and pisses me off that you, blah, 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 right? It's like when we just, I'm uncomfortable with, I don't want to do that. And we just are being honest with what doesn't work for us, what we're uncomfortable with, and what we're not going to agree to, then we're sending a clear boundary, right? We're setting a clear boundary and we're sending a clear message to that person that, yeah, this is not okay. This is what I prefer. And it's not based on, like I said, attacking somebody else, because once we start with attack, then, it's just the whole issue of boundaries. It doesn't get set. And even bigger is that now we're into a big argument or into a dynamic that we didn't really want to be in. We wanted to just set the boundary and be okay with that. So, right, I'm uncomfortable with, I don't want to do that at this time. I will get back to you later, and so forth, right? Because sometimes we feel like, oh, I have to answer now. Not really. It's okay to, I'll get back to say, I'll get back to you, but it's about giving ourselves that permission to set that boundary and then setting it with respect to the other person, because this is not about, them and their requests, but it's really more about what we need and how we're choosing to live our lives, right? And that's why we want to stay focused on what's the point of the boundary and what it's really all about. So I'm going to pick one more word and see what else I'm inspired to share from my bag of words before we end. And peace. Okay, beautiful. Which kind of just ties into, right, what I was saying about when we attack, we're going to get into a dynamic and an argument and an experience that we don't choose to have. But when we set our boundaries with respect and authenticity for what we need and for what we want, and we're focused on that, when we're having that communication with somebody, then we create peace, right? Because if I tell somebody, you're really pissing me off, they're going to get really defensive. But if I say, I'm uncomfortable with, I'm really not up for that today, right? And I use language like that, then yeah, the person may not love what I'm saying or may not be what they prefer to hear, but they're not really going to feel so defensive. Even if they're a little persistent, they're not going to be defensive. And even if they are persistent, then we can restate, right? We'll just repeat what it is that we said. In other words, we don't have to convince them that, we're not up for it. We just repeat it. So they hear it again, and sometimes, because if it's not what they want to hear, they need to hear it a few times before they could accept it. That's okay. The most important thing is that you set your boundaries, you maintain your boundaries, you maintain your peace by doing it with respect. All right, I hope that helps you. Bye for now. Have a beautiful day.